Who is NSRGA? NSRGA was formed by the Friends of Skunk River Bridge. When the McIntyre Bridge was flooded off of its piers in August of 2010, probably Friday the 13th, there was 10 inches of rain, and the story goes that trees threatening a bridge upstream were being plucked out and pushed back in the river, Iowa, and tiling, flooding, clearing fields all the way to the riverbank. So our bridge lost it, and my dad was lucky enough to be up in a plane flying over as Laren and I were traipsing through muddy trails to get down to see if the bridge was still there. And it was not, and that's how we got started. So all of the sources, Bridge Hunter, etc., pointed us to Michigan. And in Michigan, we were pointed towards Vern Messler and Nathan Holth. And they came to Iowa and talked to our friends group, and we had a good meeting on the fact that we could save our bridge, even if it fell in the water. The expert that we really needed, however, was Nels Rayner of Box Steel. We needed an iron expert. Our county engineer had said that one cannot weld old iron and no one rivets anymore, and this bridge cannot be saved. That was before it fell down. But we got the bridge out, and we took it to Michigan. We brought it back from Michigan because the state threatened us with losing our status on the National Register and not being eligible for grants, and then they took that away from us anyway because they said when the bridge was moved, i.e. being pushed off of its piers, it lost all of its status. And that was a bummer. So Nels Rayner of Box Steel and myself, Julie Bowers, founded Workin' Bridges in 2010 under the auspices of the North Skunk River Greenbelt Association. And we did site visits, and we did estimates and timelines. We hooked up with an engineer, Jim Schiffer, who, really gave people what they needed if they were going to try to save a bridge at that point, which was a pretty accurate anticipation of the cost needed for a bridge, if they could fund it in the first year. If it doesn't get funded that quickly, well, forget about it. So we had a nonprofit. We were working with experts, and we did all the usual things. We held bridge fests and events, and we tried to raise money. But in 2015, we found the Hayden Bridge. It was threatened with demolition. It was in Springfield, Oregon, in Lane County, just outside of Eugene and over the McKenzie River. And we thought we would be able to help people in this community save their bridge. We ended up saving it ourselves. Oregon is very committeeized, is how I put it, and the grassroots efforts have been somewhat squelched for these committees that then work with the local governments. We were never able to get an audience with Lane County unless we went in for 3 minutes at the beginning of a meeting in order to try to tell them what we were doing. So we had very little political support, even though what we have there is one of the oldest bridges in Oregon, and certainly one of the oldest train bridges that is still standing. So our approach to preservation was to try to help others. We saved another Oregon bridge, the Portland Waterworks Bridge. That was no longer needed to transfer water from the Sandy River to Portland. That is in Delaware, as well as our bridge, which is now the heart of Delaware's newest state park. We purchased this wonderful bridge, and We proceeded to figure out permitting with Lane County, which ended up with no permits needed. They couldn't quite figure us out ever. Such wonderful views. That's where the horse went across during the movie Shenandoah, right in the opening credits. They rigged from the bottom of the bridge. It's a beautiful place. So we started doing our research. We made a site visit, Nels and I, and put together a package. Tried to figure out what the bridge needed, and it really didn't need any ironwork, if you will. It just needed deck and rail. The story goes that in 1868, David Reeves recruited noted bridge engineers Thomas C. Clark and Adolphus Bonzano to establish a bridge design construction firm that would offer bridges made from Phoenix iron. This was called Clark, Reeves and Company. Phoenix iron had been invented and patented in 1862 by Samuel Reeves as a wrought iron alternative to the cast iron compression columns that were used in building and bridges at the time. And here is an example of the Phoenix column as manufactured by Phoenix Iron Company in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. Then after 1882, when the Hayden Bridge was built, they changed their name to the Phoenix Bridge Company in 1884. Our Hayden Bridge was originally on the Transcontinental Railroad, replacing a wooden trestle in 1882. It was then dismantled in 1896, and I'm going to let Melody Ann Minks pick up the rest of the story.
January 3rd, 1900. Daily Eugene Guard, Mohawk Branch Railroad. Notes from J. Swafford. 1869 was when a timber bridge was first put over the Bear River in Corinne, Utah. It was replaced with the 1882 bridge until 1896, when it was dismantled. D. McCarty of San Francisco came in on yesterday's train to commence work on the Mackenzie Bridge at Hayden's. May 28, 1900. Morning Oregonian, Portland. To build railroad bridge. Trains will soon be running on the Mohawk Branch. Eugene, May 27th. 11 skilled mechanics arrived here yesterday and have gone to Hayden Bridge, where they will put together and erect the new steel railroad bridge across the Mackenzie at that point. This is the principal bridge on the Mohawk Branch line of the Southern Pacific. There is a smaller bridge to be built where the road crosses the Mohawk. When these bridges are completed, it will be but a short time until the track is laid and trains will be running to the terminus in Wendling, where the big mill of the Booth Kelly Lumber Company is situated. June 5th, 1900. Eugene Daily Register. All around the town, the day and evening news. Things we know and facts other people tell us about as we go our rounds. O. Crossfield, representing the Thompson Bridge Company, has commenced work on the steel bridge for the Mohawk Railway. Mr. Crossfield has about 20 men on the construction. May 1st, 1900. Morning Oregonian, Portland. Mohawk Valley Branch. Archie Mason, a Portland contractor who has charge of the construction of the new railroad up the Mohawk River in Lane County, is in Portland, visiting his family. He has now 200 men and 60 teams at work on the grade, and expects to finish it to the new town of Wendling by June 15th. The road crosses the Mackenzie River once and the Mohawk twice. At the Mackenzie crossing, a fine steel bridge is to be built, and about 40 men are now at work on the concrete foundations. May 14th, 1900. Daily Eugene Guard, Mohawk Extension, SPRR Bridge. The great depth of the Mackenzie River, 50 feet at the point where the Southern Pacific Railroad Bridge will be built on the Mohawk Extension, precludes the use of false work on which to rest the structure while it is in the process of construction. Wire cables from pier to pier will be supported with pontoons moored in the river by steel cables fastened to the banks on either side above. Work will be commenced on the bridge Thursday of this week. The material, 9 carloads, has already been delivered in the Springfield Railroad yards. The first bridge across the Mohawk, a span of 100 feet, is also at Springfield, loaded on 3 cars. It is a combination wood and iron bridge and came from Corinne, Utah. Railroad Bridge. The railroad bridge for the Mohawk branch of the Southern Pacific is progressing rapidly. The piers have been built on either side of the river, and the trestle work built up to the piers. The main span will soon be put in, and the bridge will then be finished. A number of carloads of supplies have been taken to that point. The track has been laid to the bridge, but the road is not yet ballasted. April 17, 1900, Daily Eugene Guard, Mohawk Railroad. Contractor Mason is pushing the work rapidly. Bridge material expected daily. 4 carloads of horses, scrapers, etc. arrived Saturday night and were at once sent to the front. 3 more carloads of horses and material arrived and were sent to the front last night. The road has an appearance of activity more evident than at any previous time since the work began, and the grading will be pushed with all possible speed. The material for the railroad bridge across Mackenzie is expected to arrive at any time. The first shipment, consisting of 9 carloads of steel, has left the Sacramento shops and is on the road. The bridge complete will amount to about 20 carloads. Special to the Guard, Springfield, Oregon, April 21st. The first installment of the steel bridge for the Mackenzie River arrived at Springfield yesterday, consisting of 3 carloads. The balance of the bridge will follow rapidly. The piers are nearly completed, and in 10 days, active work will begin on putting the bridge together. The bridge has been removed from the Central Pacific Railroad, being shipped from Kareem Station, 20 miles west of Ogden, Utah. Archie Mason, the contractor, received another carload of horses today. It is reported that he expects to receive 60 Japanese to arrive by this evening's train to be turned loose on construction work. June 19, 1900. Eugene Morning Register. All around the town. The day and evening news. Things we know and facts other people tell us about as we go our rounds. G.O.T. Hall, Jr. was over the line of the Mohawk Railroad Sunday. Mr. Hall says all the false work for the steel bridge to span the Mackenzie River has been completed, and the contractors expect to have the steel bridge finished by Saturday. It will require about 2 weeks' work on the grade yet. June 28, 1900. Daily Eugene Guard. Bridge nearly completed. The steel railroad bridge across the Mackenzie River will be completed before noon tomorrow. This is a fine structure. SP Mohawk Branch. Mackenzie Bridge about finished. Natron Terminal may be abandoned for Wendling. The Mackenzie Bridge on the Southern Pacific Mohawk Branch was swung from the false work Wednesday and will be ready for trains in a few days. This bridge is a single-span steel bridge, being the only one of its kind on the Southern Pacific lines in Oregon. The grading on the ground is nearing completion, it being estimated that about 15 days' work will complete it. The track-laying gang, consisting of about 100 men, will arrive and commence work in a few days. It is thought that trains will be in operation to Wendling by August 15th. A report is current that the Natron Terminal will be abandoned, not using track east of the Mohawk Junction. Instead, the trains will make their terminal at Wendling. This arrangement will leave Natron without train service. Those who know say the road from Springfield to Natron never paid operating expense. There are no news concerning the railroad bridge across the river at Springfield, but general opinion is to the effect that it will be several years before this bridge is built. Morning Oregonian, Portland, grading the Mohawk Branch. Work is expected to be completed within the week. The grading of the Mohawk River branch of the Southern Pacific in Lane County will be finished next week, according to Archie Mason, the contractor, now in the city. The company is erecting a $50,000 steel bridge and several stout wooden structures along the line, and when these are done, track laying will be put through with vigor. June 29, 1900. The Mohawk Railway. O. Crossfield, representing the Thompson Bridge Company, was in the city yesterday making arrangements for teams to transport all but 12 of his bridge forces to this city today en route to their homes in San Francisco. The remaining workmen will attend to the few minor details of finishing up the contract. The steel work on the bridge will be finished sometime this forenoon. July 8, 1900. Eugene Morning Register. Rapid progress. The large steel bridge across the Mackenzie River constructed by the Mohawk Railroad branch is completed, and work will soon be commenced on removing the scaffolding. The company is now building its first bridge over the Mohawk, and the grading of the entire roadbed is virtually finished. December 18, 1907. City News. As the Wendling local was coming to Eugene this forenoon, and as it was crossing the Mackenzie Bridge, a drunken man on the train flourished a revolver above his head and discharged it. The bullet went through the window and, striking the iron framework of the bridge, glanced and came back through the window casing into the car. Luckily, no one was hurt.
I want to thank all of our board members, both past and present, and the folks that we are working with on the Hayden Bridge. We are trying to get it into local hands.